Mr. Chris Frostad, how are you, sir?
Very good, thank you, Matt.
I'm glad you're here. It's been a while. I was out of commission. I was in LA,
Mm-hmm.
wandering the streets of LA. What a weird town. What a weird town. Apologies for those listening who are living in LA, but come on, guys. Every cliche going. But back to the world of reality here. Lots going on, as always. Should we sort of bounce around the world a bit? I'm going to start a little bit east. Kazatomprom. A few things going on there. They received their BRICS partnership status. So that was kind of interesting. Kazakhstan did, but the knock-on effect with Kazatomprom, what will it be?
Well, it's pulling everybody in tighter to the east, that's for sure. And I think the other big thing that came out of it was the vote that they had to have, because it now appears that deal they made with China last year, more than 50% of their products now been committed to China. So they required a shareholder vote for that. So it's these are all just factors that lead us to see that their uranium ain't coming our way. It's heading east for sure.
Yeah, I think that vote would have been interesting. But kind of like one of those sort of polling booths in the US. Whatever you press, it's all going east.
Same answer. Yeah,
same answer. Well, thanks for voting.
One box in the back. Yeah.
It's hilarious. We should stay away from US politics, as amusing as it will be. Okay, so I think obviously that was as much as expected, except that maybe perhaps the size of the commitment maybe not quite understood. But we've long said that that's obviously the natural direction it would flow. Chinese stocking up and filling up their inventories. Knock-on effect for the rest of the world. I think it gets a little bit dire, doesn't it? Not a lot of people talk about getting in production.
It keeps tightening things up in terms of how the West is going to procure its required uranium, for sure. And again, you're bounced around the world here. We also saw Turkey now doing deals with Niger, and Niger, who's been who's had all kinds of problems nonetheless. It looks like Orano is going to be shutting down their last mine over there. And it's because of financial reasons. I think Orano owns about 60% of that. And the Nigerian government owns the rest, and they haven't been paying their bills. So it's caused them to...
Also, I'm also struggling to actually monetize it because they can't get the stuff out of the country. So obviously, borders blocked doesn't really help because you got to sell it. So well and good mining. It's like the Niger government saying you can mine, but you just can't sell it. Who the heck would want to be part of that arrangement?
Right.
So again, some knock-on effects there in terms of that kind of east-west divide thing. People talking about, and we have certainly happening for long term, that Chinese, the natural, and Russia, sort of the natural inheritors of whatever Iran is left behind.
Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. It's a squeeze. I think we're going to keep seeing that squeeze over the next 6 to 8 months. Hopefully, we would expect to see it reflected in uranium prices, but that squeeze just keeps getting tighter and tighter.
Well, I think the other thing about Niger is talk of oil and gas contracts. I don't think necessarily anyone's found anything too significant at the moment, but I think the US might be a little bit irritated by that, and maybe the Russians are a little bit delighted by that. So it's strange times in Niger for sure. Mm-hmm. But with one bright exception, it seems, which is our difference at Global Atomics, seem to be getting on with business on the ground, and maybe that's the secret sauce here. If you're getting on with business, you're friends of the government.
Well, they're probably still going to have issues getting it out of the country too, though, right?
Potentially.
Again, to this point, it hasn't slowed them down.
But they're not French. I would put that in their favor.
No, I wouldn't.
It's always a good thing.
That. But and there seems to be better news coming out on their financing. So it all seems to be coming around for them.
Yeah, well, it's funny how money talks. At the end of the day, if the money's there to kind of get projects moving, I think governments are a little bit more relaxed about it. So I think the non-French thing, all joking aside, is good news for them because the governments want employment, they want taxes, they want to be relevant. So Niger, good. I mean, Turkey, 27. I thought I was kind of surprised when I saw that. And then maybe that's again because Turkey's relationship with Russia and this whole BRICS thing, for
Yeah,
sure.
I
It's
expect.
getting serious out there. We talk about this east-west divide so casually over the last 2-3 years, but it's really feeling quite real here. And then when we talk about bifurcated markets as a subsequent knock-on effect, it, yeah, I can really start to see
Yeah,
that
you're right.
happening.
Every week something's coming out that's making it feel more real and more near term um, than not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Japan, let's go there. Who wouldn't want to?
Japan. What's happening in
I know.
Japan? Um,
Restarts, reactor
well, they
restarts,
have a new government. That's right.
and they have a new government. That helps.
Yeah. Well, they're
Um,
not sure whether it's going to help. I think right now it's still a bit up in the air. They have very little time to actually get that government in place. The old government was certainly pro-nuclear, and the new one they're not sure of. But I don't think it's going to slow things down too much over there.
No, it's all positive, but I could pretty much go and talk about most countries in the world, in Jamaica, who are looking at nuclear reactors, looking at SMRs, looking at microreactors. It's definitely the thing. At the moment, it's become very, very fashionable. How these things get financed is another matter. But just sticking with the kind of jurisdictional thing before we kind of move on to equities, etc. I saw. Obviously, I think the Aussies took a bit of a beating. Aussie equities took a bit of a beating after Paladin put out their cost guide. Well, their costs. People a little
The
bit shocked
timing
by
as
that.
well. Yeah.
A little bit shocked. Not
Yeah,
good.
I was surprised they took such a big hit though for that. I think right now anybody who's in production, as opposed to going to be in production, has got to be on a different value plane. And I think the Paladin thing just shows how difficult it can be to start up. Like these prime mines that are on maintenance can't just be flicked back on with a switch.
Yeah.
It's like turning on a car that's been in the garage for 4 years. So it's difficult, and then they'll get it done. I mean, they're getting it done, but I think that the timeline and the costs were a little surprising to the market.
Yeah, but I think the other thing here is, and I would definitely be keeping my beady little eyes on is obviously what grades they're achieving and what grades they continue to achieve, because I think that's a signal to us about, well, certainly 3 years ago, that perhaps the grades are not as advertised there, and that's something that they're going to need to demonstrate that they can consistently deliver, because that will obviously affect.
Well, there's some real metrics, but these are all real metrics that we can gauge value on, which is rare in this industry right now. For sure.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to see something. It'll be able to solidify the value of that pretty quick.
Absolutely, and as you say, it will maybe worry some people who are looking to get into production soon. They're going to be looking for clues as to what not to do. They're going to be looking to how the markets react to this, because this is the poster child. Paladin is the poster child for this space. There are some up and coming, the next gens and the UCs and Denisons of this world, but they're not there yet. They're not producers. Paladin has been and is expected to be, a meaningful producer, and if they're not getting it right, what troubles?
To see the opening up cost go up, whatever it was, 6% or something, and see your share price drop, the value drop, 15-16%. That's seems a little harsh.
Well, I don't know. You then kind of got to question the reality, because the market is made up of many wonderful things, and sentiment, unfortunately, is one of them, where it's not based necessarily on fundamentals. You got to then sort of question the valuations that are given to companies like this, and when you kind of miss out a few percentage points like this, it all really it matters, and it has a big impact. So. Again, that's what I say. Everyone will be keeping next quarter what those numbers look like, for sure.
And I guess it's what expectations are around price going forward as well.
Price covers a multitude of sins, for sure.
Yeah,
it really does.
Well,
it really does.
If the market thinks that the rise in prices is slowing down, then this is an opportunity. This would have been an opportunity to correct that as well, if it's baked into that valuation.
Well, we saw a little tickle in the share price this week, didn't we? I mean, nothing meaningful, but that's nice to see.
Yeah. Good.
Don't sound so enthusiastic, Chris.
Yeah.
We'd have been bouncing around for this kind of rise about 2 years ago, wouldn't we?
I know. Nothing seems to be happening according to plan. I don't.
Nope. It's mining. It's mining. Welcome to mining, folks.
Mining.
I guess some good news out there on the production side is Energy Fuels processing uranium at White Mesa following the recent rare earth processing.
Right. Well, they have
really
been,
good
right?
news.
They've been stockpiling a fair amount. I think they've got enough to process the next year, but they
and more. I was there in September. They got a lot of it and a lot of it coming. So
Right.
they got cash sitting out in their backyard, ready to be processed.
But they're processing what they will do what this year, 700-800.
Yeah, about that. But I think that mill can do 7 million, right? So, but I don't think it's never operated at that.
Never has.
Most it's got is about 3, I think. So I don't know what they intend to get at, but it's kind of close.
They're looking at
one and a
towards
half
the 2 million next year.
Yeah.
But I think the rare earth there is still the big story for them.
I don't think people appreciate the margin.
No,
that they're going to be kept. They are a uranium company. They don't want to be considered, a rare earth. Moved on to rare earths only. They're a uranium company. They got the vanadium and all of those other things they can extract. But the rare earth lines that they've got operating, hugely profitable, insanely profitable. And I think people haven't kind of tweaked that for sure. Right, we threatened to kind of talk about equities. Aussies got battered after Paladin. Haven't really kind of recovered too much there. What's happening in the world of Canada when it comes to uranium?
Yeah, it's been a funny week. Not much. It's been, if anything, things have been languishing a little bit over the last week, and I think that's just from the markets in general.
Yeah,
we haven't seen anybody make any big moves one way or the other.
Right.
And we were expecting to maybe see something out of the conference down in where was it, down Texas last week?
Yep, that's right.
So we didn't, haven't seen anything flutter into the spot out of that at this point. And again, we talked about that earlier. I think the expectation is after some of these conferences, we expect to see a lot of moves in the uranium prices and in some of the equities, and it doesn't seem to have been happening this year. It's taking its time. It's moving in the right direction, but it's certainly we're not seeing spikes and hockey sticks and things that people may have hoped to see after some of these events.
Right. Yeah. I think that's right. I think we'll see a little bit more M&A. I think people like us at Energy have been quite positive. I think they will continue to be.
We're hearing some more about. Yeah, we're seeing some small things, but people seem to be talking. There's a lot more quiet talking going on. So I think we'll see a few more things.
Okay. Yeah. So what's the space, folks? I think is what I'm hearing from you.
Well, again, because the market hasn't reacted the way a lot of the players here thought it would. So I think people are really reshifting their strategies towards how do we deal with the next 2-3 years. And I think a lot of that is starting to put assets together and do something a little more long term, a little more intelligent. We've talked before about where's the capital all coming from. So I think there's different discussions going on now than would have been going on a year or two ago.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? The market kind of needs this, though, right? Because I think there's been these lots of hopium stories. There people kind of saying, well, I'm going to get in on a thematic. I'll just find any old uranium asset and I'll try and do something with that to kind of be relevant and maybe hope to be taken out. That's the kind of like the old go-to, quite dull strategy, thoughtless. And now's the time maybe some of these people can realize that if they've made themselves attractive enough, if they've been able to do anything during this.
Because the tide isn't floating all boats.
Oh, no.
Which was the expectation.
Yeah, I
in a
think it
lot of
was
cases.
Mr. Chalmers said that to me. I think it does for a while, but at some point you kind of tide goes out and you get left with you work out
Yeah,
who's not got the
huge.
shorts on, and so I think for those guys who have been able to move the projects forward slightly and make themselves attractive to say an ISO Energy or Denison or UEC, it's now some you can sort of monetize it, not for great premiums. I'd say it's been a rather expensive strategy, for the last 5 years or however long that people have been trying this thing.
That's true.
And I think there'll be some projects which will have to be go into the back of the drawer and be dusted off in 10 years' time. The usual cycle of things.
But I think for those players and those assets, there's now a bit of a clearer path as to how it has to move forward. And it's going to take a different approach, a calmer approach, a more intelligent approach to a lot of these things, and the market's really recognizing where the value is and where the value isn't, and you got to be on the right side of that. You got to be legitimate.
Yeah, you got to be legitimate, and that's what I say about fundamentals. There's got to be something to it. It can't be based on a pure marketing play, because the sheen wears off after a while, and people know what the real projects are actually like. The only people are kind of fooled were the kind of retail guys in the marketplace believing the hype. Right. Well, like I say, we could talk about Jamaica, we talk about Bangladesh, we could talk about Belgium, we talk about lots of countries sort of making verdant strides towards delivering a kind of nuclear energy for sure. But I think for now, it's a quick, short, sharp one this week, because we were meant to have spoken on Monday. It was my fault. I couldn't connect with you when I was in LA. So maybe we'll hook up next week and have a proper conversation.
Absolutely. Good seeing you.
Feeling confident? Come on. Are you feeling confident?
Oh, so confident. It's coming.
Okay.
It's coming.
It's coming.
This time for sure, as we say.
This time for sure. This time it'll be real. No, but obviously you concluded your deal with ISO Energy. I mean, you got a lot done.
It is, and things like that are happening. I think we're very pleased with that transaction, and we think that's not the end game. That's kind of the beginning, and I think a lot of companies are now looking at how they can reposition themselves to really move forward in what's coming. And I think we all of us on this side of it certainly feel that we're definitely on an upward trajectory right across the board, and we just have to take our time. We have to plan properly. We have to keep our powder dry sometimes, but we have to. But it's all moving in the right direction, and in a way that we think we can all take very good advantage of it all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, Chris, appreciate time as always. A little bit of a quick romp today, but I think some useful stuff in there, and certainly some things people go away and research and dig into themselves. Okay, sir.
All good.
I'll leave you to it.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye now.